Commissioner Jung. Ground control to Major Tom.
Mr. Chairman.
There you are, Commissioner Jung. Thank you so much. Okay.
Good morning.
We have you. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm going to call to order the Washoe County Board of County Commissioners meeting for November 16th. It is now 10:01. I apologize for the tardiness. We will start with the salute to the flag. Sheriff Balaam, is that you hiding in the back? Will you lead us this morning, sir, in a salute to the flag?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, sir. Madam Clerk, will you give us a roll call, please?
Of course. Bob Lucy, Chair, is absent. Von Hartung, Vice Chair.
Here.
Alexis Hill. Here. Katie Jung via Zoom.
Present.
Jeannie Herman.
Here.
County Manager Eric Brown.
Here.
Chief Deputy District Attorney Mary Canderas. Here. And I'm Jan Galasini, so you have a quorum.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Before we do that, I just want to make sure that everyone knows we have pulled item number 16 because the chairman is not here today, and there was some issues with the way that it was posted. So if you are here for item 16, please note that it has been pulled and it will be heard at our next regular meeting. Mr. Manager, that takes us to item number 3.
Item 3 is an appearance and presentation by Erica Mirich, Executive Director of Truckee Meadows Tomorrow, regarding the Truckee Meadows Community Progress Report, published in partnership with United Way, that provides critical annual metrics for measuring our county's progress towards improved quality of life. And she is in chambers today, Mr. Vice Chair.
So, and I don't want to hack this, is it Mirich or is it Mirich?
Mirich.
Mirich. Thank you so much. Ms. Mirich, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Let me make sure I can get this going appropriately. Okay, so I'm here today. Thank you so much for having me. I am Erica Mirich. I'm the Executive Director of Truckee Meadows Tomorrow. And I'll share a little bit about who we are and what we do, and then also why I'm here today. We are here to discuss a community progress report, and I'll talk about that in a minute. We're looking at the collective quality of life here in Washoe County, and we believe that data should not exist in a vacuum, and that the most effective way to make decisions is to use data to positively transform our current community. So what is TMT? We are a nationally recognized quality of life data organization. We've been in this community since 1989, so almost 30 years. We are nonpartisan, we are independent, we are non-biased, and we are seen as a source of trusted community data in our country, yes, and also particularly in Washoe County. We also are community convener, so we get together and we provide community conversations that bring local experts to the table to talk about issues that are pressing for our community. Our mission is to provide accurate, timely, and objective data and use that as the basis for community engagement, dialogue, and action. So we do a lot of different things, and I'll get to the point about the Community Progress Report in a moment. But we provide community data free. We believe in democratized community data at nevadatomorrow.org. We also do speaker series, as I mentioned, to bring community leaders to the table to talk about issues that face our community. We advocate for community change and progress. We also run nationally recognized grants, such as the Build Health Challenge, in partnership with the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation and the DeBeault Foundation. In fact, Donna is here today from Washoe Senior Services talking about our senior isolation and mental health initiative that we're working on. You'll hear from her in a moment. And then also we provide data as a resource for resiliency in the community. We work with organizations, hopefully Washoe County in the future, to give you information you need so that you can make the best decisions possible for our community. So a little bit about what our data portal is. This data portal has 350 quality of life indicators. Anybody can go look at nevadatomorrow.org and learn about what is happening in our community, whether it's obesity rates, poverty rates, transportation issues. You can look at all kinds of hundreds of maps, tables, charts, and figures and learn about what's going on in our community. Obviously, how does that help you as the county commission? It helps you achieve targeted impacts. It helps you make data-informed policy decisions. It helps you reduce your staff burden on data mining. It helps you discover emerging trends and provide evidence for your decision-making. So about the Community Progress Report, we're really excited about this. The Community Progress Report is going to be published in February, and our whole philosophy is you don't know how to get where you want to go if you don't know where you are. So we need to understand where we are as a community without agenda, just what does the information tell us, so that we can take a look at how can we move the needle on quality of life issues like safety, economics, education, environment, our population. So other communities do this report frequently. In fact, they do them in partnership with United Ways across the country. Marathon County, Wisconsin is a great example, and Lubbock County, Texas is another great example. They've been doing these reports for more than 20 years. Actually, those are hot links, so if the county commissioner, when you have that, if you want to check out those other reports, you can just click that and it'll take you right to it. Our goal for this report is to bring Washoe County to the cutting edge of community data, join the growing list of communities who use data to use trackable and reliable data to measure quality of life progress, and to be a resource for policy and advocacy. So our partnership right now is Truckee Meadows Tomorrow, that's me, Arpa Funding, the executive director, and then also Michael Brazier from United Way. He's the CEO and president of our local United Way. They've been wanting to do a report like this for years. Truckee Meadows Tomorrow did a report like this for many, many years. And then during the last recession, that kind of faded away, and we're bringing it back. So we're really excited. Actually used to be sent out in the RGJ as an insert. But we're going to be bringing this back in a kind of 2.0 version. So some of our other current partners who have gotten on board to help sponsor this report, basically it will pay for copywriting, the data research, the time, printing of the report. RTC, Renown, Envanergy, EDON, Microsoft, the Washoe Education Association, City of Reno, and we're here today to present to the county to see if the county would be interested in also sponsoring this report, being involved in the report. So what we plan to achieve with this report is understanding our basic issues that face our community, more specifically, highlighting really great positive progress that's made in our community, providing a resource that the community can use to collaborate on very specific and real data, enable advocacy with decision makers like all of you, and benchmark our progress within the community. So we know year over year over year, using the same apples, comparing apples to apples, how we're progressing. Have the programs we instituted made a difference or not, and why? So the 10 quality of life areas that Truckee Meadows Tomorrow focuses on are all up here, but they range in everything from land use and infrastructure to public well-being, economic well-being, behavioral and mental health, health and wellness, poverty and housing, education, natural environment, civic and neighborhood engagement. So those are the areas we'll be focusing on in the report. And these are just some examples of what our data looks like. I can't give you a walkthrough of the Nevada Tomorrow portal. It is very robust, and if you want to do a deep dive into some data, you certainly invite you to go look. But for example, this is some data that we have available on children in poverty in Washoe County. This is taken from the American Community Survey, but you can see we have breakouts on the left for poverty levels for children broken out by race and ethnicity. You can see our map, the darker the blue, the higher level of children in poverty. And then also the chart on the right says what our percentage is, how do we compare to other Nevada counties, how do we compare to other US counties, and what's our trend looking like. So all of this information is incredibly valuable, and again, it is available to everyone for free. Another example, median household income. I just pulled these as examples. You can see what that median household income is for Washoe County. The bottom right chart is our individual cities within Washoe County. What does that look like as it breaks out? Again, race and ethnicity, and then the areas where median household income is lowest are the darker blue, and highest is the lightest blue. So this is just an example of the report. We're going to be publishing it in February 2022. We will be printing some versions, salute to whoever that was, printing copies of this and distributing it as well, but there will also be a very dynamic online version that includes maps, charts, and graphs that you can click into, download, use for reports. We will be spotlighting great work in the community, and we plan to publish also a one-page executive summary. We haven't decided if this will be an annual or every other year publication, but we look forward to providing this as a resource for the community. We hope that the Washoe County and the commissioners all consider chipping in and being a part of this process. I believe I shared with you that we're asking for $3,000 across the board. Every sponsor has contributed $3,000 for a total budget for this project of $30,000. So 10 sponsors. So that's our specific sponsor ask. And we hope that you'll consider joining us. On this slide as well, there's my contact information and our website and our data portal site as well. So thank you very much for hearing me today.
Okay. Hold on just a second here. Commissioners, Commissioner Hill, I have you signed in first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Erica. I think it's great that you're highlighting this data portal. I know I've talked to a lot of nonprofit leaders who use it, and I want to make sure that the community knows how awesome it is and robust. It's an amazing resource for people who are looking at writing reports or even students, and then obviously for us as policymakers to understand our community better. So thank you so much for highlighting that. I think I have committed to supporting the report, and I don't think it's gone to the board yet, but it will. And so I'm really excited for this report to come out so we can measure ourselves every year and see how we're doing and see how the policies of this board can support better quality of life for Washoe County. So thank you for the presentation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Commissioner Hill. And also, just to let the commissioners know, we as an organization are available to support your data needs. So if you need specific data, we are happy to help provide that so that you can make effective decision making. All of our data sources are high level. They are vetted. We have large scale data. We also have very small local data from local partners, from the Washoe County School District to Tumwa. And we work with lots of nonprofits locally to help build out custom dashboards, One Truckee River. We're working with a senior isolation project. We're going to be working with a variety of other folks to build out dashboards for them to help them better track and build their own capacity for reporting. So thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit more about what we do. And if you've heard of Truckee Meadows Tomorrow from the past, know that we're back. So.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Jung, do you have any questions?
No, just saying that I really appreciate this reboot of Truckee Meadows tomorrow, and love that you are a portal with statistically significant data that's been, disseminated and made sure that it is also scrutinized, and a great place for us to certainly be using similar metrics to measure ourselves. And I want to tell you that I totally support this, and I do want Washoe County to be a partner. So however that has to shake out, I want to agree with Commissioner Hill. This is very important that we do have a one-stop shop where we can all look for, at least from the same page. We agree upon that, and I think it will help us as policymakers, as Commissioner Hill said, to make sure that we are meeting targets and we can watch indicators if what we're doing is successful. So I appreciate you. I know this is a big lift, and you can count on us, at least me, this commissioner, to support you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Young.
Thank you, Commissioner Jung. So I don't have anybody else signed in, so I'll take a short stab. But this is a fairly wide question, Ms. Mirich. You mentioned some of the agencies, Tumwa and some others, but how do you collect data in terms of me and my quality of life? Because what if I believe that quality of life is the fact that we need more dog parks, or I want more shopping in my neighborhood, or any number of other things that pertain to me personally? And so how do you collect that data? How do you know that it's accurate?
So we have two, I like to have two large buckets of sources of data that we work with. One is very large data that comes from the Nevada Governor's Office, the Economic Office of Development. We also look at the American Community Survey. We look at statewide youth behavioral risk surveys. So large published data sets that are fully vetted by large organizations, federal organizations. We look at health data from the Healthy People 2020 Progress Tracker, which is a federal initiative. So that data is collected from large governmental organizations and agencies. Then the other bucket is very local data. So we're meeting with Washoe County's Built for Zero folks on Friday to learn more about the homelessness data that they're collecting. And we provide that as a counterpoint to Housing and Human Development's point-in-time count, which happens once a year in January. We believe that you should look at both. So hyper-local data is very important, and we look at sources that, like Washoe County as a trusted source that's collecting that information, the school district, as I mentioned, some other large-scale agencies that provide information. And then we collect that, we have partners within them, and we get that data from them directly, and then we can then import that data into our system. So it presents itself to you as a complement in a similar way, and you don't have to look at 30 different websites to find the same information. We also have a lot of demographic data, and that's provided from a national level organization called Claritas. We're basically, as Commissioner Jung mentioned, a one-stop shop, and we pull data from many, many sources. All of the data on the site, the source is available, the source is linkable, you can find directly where it comes from. And so you can learn more and kind of continue to deep dive into that information so you can understand more about the context around that. We do not make assumptions as to what quality of life means for any individual person. So we look at obesity rates, and the obesity rate is what the obesity rate is. Some people, that's a really important piece of quality of life. For others, it may not be. We don't make judgments on what should be quality of life or not. That's why we have 350 different indicators that help us track and measure and benchmark.
Okay, thank you. Well, you brought up one point in time as an example where some inaccuracies absolutely exist. In 2017, the point in time indicator said we had 85 or something, 80 homeless people in the
Yes.
region.
Yes, exactly. And we know
I mean, that's just
well,
how is that
interestingly, I
possible?
just had the conversation this morning about that piece of data as well. And that is in partnership with some of the homelessness sweeps and putting people. So when we have blips in data, we can put in technical notes that say, hey, for this particular year, it's important to understand X.
Okay.
And so is something that we're always amenable to doing and evolving and making sure the data is usable and beneficial to the people who need it most.
Yeah, and this isn't a pejorative comment towards you. This is all of us across the board, garbage in, garbage out.
Yep, absolutely.
So
And
it's
that's
very
why we
important.
look at two different big buckets of data. Large-scale data tends to be highly vetted, but it also is delayed. It takes a year or two to finally get reported and published. Local data you can get for last month, but it's not necessarily as accurate, highly vetted. And so when you need both to kind of look at trends and point in time to kind of get a context of what's going on.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Any
for
other
the
any other
opportunity.
questions for Ms. Milrich? Okay, thank you. We appreciate you coming in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, that was for discussion only. That takes us, Mr. Manager, item number 4, recognition and presentation of awards to the Washoe County 2021 Impact Award winners. The floor is yours, Mr. Manager.
Item number 4 is recognition and presentation of awards to Washoe County's 2021 Impact Award winners for the categories of Manager's Award, Quality Public Service, Integrity and Effective Communication. And Mr. Vice Chair, if you'll give me a moment, I'll go down to the podium to introduce our recipients.
Okay.
for being here. So this morning, we'd like to recognize, as I said before, our 2021 Washoe County Impact Award winners. As you know, last year due to the pandemic, we weren't able to actually have the Impact Awards. In the past, we've done them in various ways, generally getting everybody together. This year, we didn't feel quite comfortable going to that degree. But for those who are not familiar with the Impact Awards, we this year allowed self-nominations by various county departments. We decided to use the response to the pandemic as our primary comparison tool in terms of evaluating the entries. From a list of nominations, department heads selected the winning teams for 3 categories: quality public service, integrity, and effective communication, that offered new and innovative processes, demonstrated positive impact, and brought improved service to our residents and our community. So the first award recipient I'd like to introduce is actually for the County Manager's Award. And this is an award that goes to the department that's really demonstrated all of our county values, public service, excellence, integrity, and communication in one effort. I'm proud to announce that this year's award goes to the Washoe County Health District for their response to the pandemic on multiple fronts. Here from the Health District today is Jim English to accept the award. Jim, are you here? There he is. Jim, did you bring anybody with you? Let's have all the Health District folks come forward. We have an award for you. And Mr. Chair, if we could get a group photo with the Health District.
Congratulations. So, Mr. Manager, do you want us to come down each time? Do you want to announce do all of them and then have them all line up? How do you want to do this?
Let's do all of them and then we can take the pictures at one time. How do we
Okay,
do that?
okay, so if you guys will just stay for a moment.
Okay. Our next recipients are for quality public service. And the Quality Public Service Award embodies the highest levels of public service within the county. And again, the evaluations were indexed to the response to the pandemic. And this year, I'm proud to announce that by a wide margin, our very own CERT team is the recipient of the award. And here today, you can see them sitting here. They're led by Jose, and I cannot say Jose's last name. Olasaregi. Did I get that right? Okay. So join me in congratulating the CERT team.
Congratulations. Okay.
Hang out right there for a second. Okay. Our third recipient will be for the Integrity Award. And this year's winner goes to the department that demonstrated conformance with our code of conduct as embodied in their performance. The award goes to our Technology Services Group. So here to accept this morning, I think Quinn
Yes, Mr. Korbulik.
and Kobe and Chris
And there are
Long.
several others, Chris Long. Congratulations. I will note that Mr. Long recently acquired an antique clock. He is on his way. Mr.
All right.
Manager.
Before we take the pictures, I just want to, we also have second and third place awards in those last three categories. We will not bring them up for pictures, but if they could come up and pick a representative to pick up the award. Second place under the Integrity Award goes to our very own clerk, Jan Galassini, and the clerk's office. Oh. Congratulations. All right.
Congratulations, Clerk Galassini.
Third place goes to our Juvenile Services Group, and I believe the director, Liz Flores, is here. Is Liz here?
Congratulations.
All right, in terms of effective communication, we had an award for our COVID-19 triage hotline in 311. And I believe Gail Erickson from the Health District and Bethany Drysdale from our Office of the County Manager Communications Group. Come on up.
Congratulations to both of you.
All right. What do we have left? For that, effective communication? Okay, so second place for effective communication once again goes to Tech Services. So Quinn and the team.
Wow.
You want somebody else to receive? Hey, Jay. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Third place goes to our CSD, Strategic Communications Team, led by Sarah Tone and April Ramage.
Congratulations, Ms. Tone.
All right, two more recognitions and then we'll take pictures.
Okay.
The second place for quality public service goes to the Registrar of Voters, Deanna Spicula, and her team. Is Deanna here?
Congratulations, Ms. Spicula. Please.
Give them applause.
Yes.
And third place under quality public service goes to our library group, and they're represented today by Director Jeff Scott. Please stand.
Congratulations, Director Scott.
All right. So, Mr. Vice Chair, how about if we take a short break and
Okay.
take photos with each?
We'll go into recess for a few minutes and take some photos, and we'll be back shortly. Commissioner Jung, are you still with us?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, so just for your edification, we had a cutout of you in all the pictures.
Oh, good. Make sure there's some Botox and some.
You out. Okay, I'm going to ask
Thank you.
everyone to take their seats, and I'm going to bring us back to order. Thank you for, wow, that's loud. Okay, I'm going to bring us back to order. And Mr. Manager, that takes us to item number 5, public comment.
Item 5 is public comment. Comment heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the commission agenda. The commission will also hear public comment during individual action items with comment limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments are to be made to the commission as a whole.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Madam Clerk, will you please call public comment?
Of course, we have quite a few, so if you'll queue up when I call the second name. First up, we have Donna Clontz, and she does have a handout that I will distribute when she gets to the podium.
Ms. Clontz, welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Hartung. Hello, Commissioners, here and on Zoom. My name's Donna Clontz. I am now graduated to kind of senior member of the Washoe County Senior Citizen or Senior Advisory Board. Thank you all for all your support through the years for our seniors, our elders in the community, for the support that they are especially needing now during the pandemic time. Our board is pretty robust, and we've got a lot of really good folks who have just joined the Washoe County Senior Advisory Board. And you received a letter via email today, and the clerk has it for later on in your agenda. Our new chair, Hava Hamas, is probably going to call in, perhaps on public comment. She's busy in Carson City today working on the redistricting issues. So we had a special meeting yesterday morning to talk about the Arpa funding that's coming into the county for improving our lives after what's gone on with COVID. And so that letter details ideas that relate from everything to housing, to isolated seniors, to increasing the homemakers' ability of seniors to have homemakers and so on. So you'll see that list of things. I know that the Washoe County Human Services Agency, Senior Services, will be presenting ideas and is presenting ideas for ways that some of this ARPA money could be spent in the county to be one-time money to make things better for everybody. One of the things that I've been working on and that I've talked to you many times before is the Age Friendly Project, which falls in a lot with what we heard today from Erica on the Truckee Meadows Tomorrow quality of life studies that are going on. As part of the Age Friendly initiative, we've also been working on increasing ways for helping elders get housing, connect with information, get the services they need, and also improve the transportation. Because as the isolated senior study that you've probably heard about in the past, the Robert Wood Foundation, Woods Foundation granted a pretty sizable grant to the Truckee Meadows Healthy Community, which is now Truckee Meadows Tomorrow is taking that over as well, and to Renown. And what they point out in the research is that loneliness and isolation are actually contributors to deterioration in mental and physical health. So folks that are all by themselves a lot tend to get sicker and have a lot more problems. And some of the root causes, they say, to that are socioeconomic status, lack of transportation, and lack of social engagement. So
Thank you, Ms. Clontz.
I'm encouraging the commissioners to take a look at the ideas presented by the
Thank
Senior
you, Ms.
Advisory
Clontz.
Committee and
Thank you, Ms.
take those
Clontz.
into account.
Next
Thank
up,
you.
we have Susie
Thank you.
Howell, followed by Nicholas St. John.
Ms. Howell, welcome.
Okay. So there have been over 17,000 deaths reported to the VAERS your beloved government's website. 17,000. Think about that. According to a Harvard study, this represents only 1% of the true results, as doctors are not filing these reports. And by the way, that's illegal because legally they are meant to file them. That's more in the past 8 months than all vaccines, billions and billions of them combined over the last 30 years. 30 years. We've topped it. We're killing people right and left, and now you folks want to vaccinate our children. And it's kind of ironic that Kitty Young is staying at home pregnant because she's scared. Well, here we go. Michael Yaden, who is the ex-Pfizer top scientist, sent this out today, and he wrote it for the Australian National Review. We are in stage 5. Number 1 is exploit the shortage of food and goods. We know that's happening. 2, cause paralysis of the economy by closing up shops, having people live in fear. Number 3, let unemployment explode. Number 4, apply the 3rd dose of the poisonous shot. None of you can say that it's safe, nor can anyone else, because none of you can tell me what's in it. It's a white sheet that comes with the vial. Number 5, impose compulsory vaccination. Number 6, amplify myths about variants, the scary variants. Number 7, demonize anti-death shot folks and hold them responsible for the dead when we all know it's because of the vaccine that's causing all these deaths. Look at all the athletes, the pro athletes that are just dropping dead. Do a little research of your own. Look and see it's unprecedented in young people to drop dead of myocarditis, yet you're pushing it. Number 9, impose digital identity. How does the government keep track of you? By imposing digital identity. And number 10, and this will be the final outcome, establish martial law. Mark my words, every one of you have blood on your hands, every one of you. And if you sleep at night, I would be amazed and astounded.
Next up, Nicholas St. John, followed by Melanie Sutton.
Welcome, Mr. St. John.
Hello, could I get the overhead, please? I don't know how to get this done. Sorry, I burned through 30 seconds already. I don't know if you guys can see this. It says, there's a billboard. They're all across the state. It says, Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine now fully FDA approved. Guys, this is false advertising. This is intentionally deceiving the public. The only fully FDA approved vaccine is Comirnaty. The only place you can get that is in Germany, not in the US. I want to know what the county commission would do to help make sure these kinds of messages are not getting to the public. This is false advertising, and it's very misleading. Also, Commissioner Hartung, you should have gotten my email of November 8th talking about redressing our grievances. Just so you'll understand the term that comes from our First Amendment rights, where it says the citizens have a right for a redress of grievances. Now, while we've had the right to come in here and speak our grievances and our petition you guys for the complaints that we have, redress means that it's to correct or bring a remedy to these. We have been speaking here now for 11 months, demanding a number of things. One of them is to or a whole number of things, but one of them is that we want a resolution to forbid vaccine passports. We also want a resolution to stop vaccination for 5 to 11-year-olds with unproven well, they call it a vaccine, but it's a shot that has gene modifications for 5 to 11-year-olds that have a 0.003% fatality rate. I was given a response, if you can. This claims that you guys did redress it or that you don't have to. There is nothing in the Constitution that says you can take a waiver. It does not say that citizens have a right to be ignored for 11 months. These are real grievances. You're supposed to be meeting with us. It's your duty and your obligation to discuss with us and bring a remedy. I'd like to go through this because most of it is completely bogus. Passing this off to the health district is not appropriate when I brought the grievance to the county commission.
Thank you, Mr. St. John.
Thank you for cutting my mic off. By the way,
Thank you, Mr. St.
there
John.
is no more than 3 minutes in the
Thank you.
Constitution.
Melanie Sutton, followed by Donald Folsom. Thank you.
Good morning. Today is 615 days for the 15 days to flatten the curve. As always, when we come here, we are demanding an end to the public health emergency, prohibit mandatory vaccines, COVID-19 vaccines, ban COVID-19 vaccine passports and verification, ban mask mandates, promote good health and therapeutic treatments for COVID-19. Acknowledge COVID-19 is an endemic, not a pandemic. You guys just gave awards to the health district rather than giving them the therapeutics for people to be treated. You guys are forcing masks that don't work and the shot that is not FDA approved. The failure of elected representatives to protect the constitutional rights in order to further their own political careers, destroy quality of life in Washoe County, and participation in the medical tyranny will be engraved in history. Their absence of integrity, failure to respond to the concerns of the citizens will be your downfall.
Donald
ma'am.
Fossum, followed by Ann Sweeter.
Mr. Fossum, welcome.
Good morning, folks. I had one thing all planned out, and then this lady stepped up here, Erica, with her wonderful thing about all this portal and information and data and all that. That's just grand. But something I got out of that I didn't think was so cool, and it could be my misunderstanding, is when she closed with saying some of this takes 2 months to get information out, and some of it takes 2 years. Well, in my excitement of hearing all of this potentials that she could do, I thought, oh my God, election integrity. Wouldn't that be something if she could tap into that and have all these matters cleared up like that with all the data she has? I'm not being facetious. I thought this would be a real instrument of doing it. Well, wonderfully, you all took a break, and guess who I got to talk to? Erica. And there was no great reception for what I proposed there. Okay, so I'm not going to waste your time. Oh, there it is. It's still on. Okay, so I want to give credit to your member, Mr. Rodriguez. I'll get to this in a second. What this is, it shows the auditorium stage and seating where Mr. Rodriguez had the boldness to invite his constituents to a meeting in North Valley High Schools a little while back, okay? And that was quite bold of him, but what really made a lot of pressure on him was just the night before the football team, due to COVID restrictions, was benched because one person, one teammate, tested positive for COVID, and it ended up 11 were sent home, and the games were called off. Okay, so here we have in the front row here, these little dots are the students sitting there with their signs, which I could see very well, sitting here. I took this position here to be between the conversation of Joe here and your, excuse me for not remembering your name, your people here can't either, but your commissioner at large and Joe were on the stage. The kids were here giving feedback. It was going back and forth like the arrow says. And what we found here was their biggest complaint was how the COVID test, in spite of the fact that they can't prove the difference between flu and COVID, I mean, really prove it, they were saying, why are we benched over something like this? And what's the difference between COVID and flu? Why are these things happening? So about 15 minutes went by and there was no answer to the kids' question. So I took a piece of paper, I wrote on here, the difference between COVID and the flu is about the dollars. I walked in front of the stage and I said, excuse me, but I always passed out notes in school. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Somebody
Clausen.
forgot something here.
Ann Sweeter, followed by Chris Fuqua.
Welcome, Ms. Sweeter.
Good morning. It's been over a year and a half of living with COVID. People know the drill and are capable of handling their own medical care. They do not need government controlling regulations. If keeping the country in restrictions is so necessary, then why are the southern borders of the United States still open and allowing 200,000 unvaccinated illegals in per month? A lot of them have COVID. If keeping the county in restrictions is so necessary, then why is the federal government not restricting the illegals in the United States who are not vaccinated for any disease? If keeping the county in restrictions is so necessary, then why is the federal government shipping the illegals to different states in the middle of the night, even if they have COVID? This shot is not a vaccine. Vaccines protect you from getting the disease they are meant for. You can still get and spread COVID even though you get this shot. This is all about control. This is against the Nuremberg Code of using people for medical experiments. That is what the FDA approved this shot for, experimental use. This is a crime against humanity and should be subject to an official investigation of all involved. Stop the controlling of people. Allow them to have the drugs that will cure this. Ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine. These are safe, proven drugs. Their only downfall is there's no money in using them. Stop the tyrannical public health mandate and open Washoe County. Medical mandates have no place in a free society. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next up, we have Chris
Thank you.
Fuqua, followed by Bruce Foster.
Welcome.
Good morning. My name is Chris Fuqua. I am the Vice President of Teamsters Local 533. Some of you are familiar with me. First of all, I want to applaud you guys for having quorum today. Because on Friday, guess what? We don't have a quorum for the RTC board meeting. That's very shameful. I want to make sure you guys are aware of there's a strike going on with the RTC board, the RTC and Keolis. And this strike is the inability of the RTC boards to enact or to act and hold their foreign-based contractor, Keolis, accountable. The RTC board could have prevented this strike. I will presume not many of those I hear today are actually affected by this bus strike. But let me tell you, this bus strike affects our community, it affects your loved ones, it affects your families out there in many numerous ways. We need to stand up for our community, for our bus riding public, and to hold Keolis accountable and give our bus operators, mechanics, maintenance technicians the wages and pensions they deserve. In the last RTC bus board meeting we had board member saying that these wages need to come up. Well, we're not seeing that. We need to hold Keolis accountable for that. Keolis hasn't been held accountable for liquidated damages for over 18 months. That's the RTC board's fault. If they were to hold Keolis accountable with those liquidated damages, this contractor, Keolis, would not be out there saving money. They'd be being charged extra money and they'd get this strike over with, but that's not happening. We have over 40 outstanding arbitrations against Keolis and numerous unfair labor charges against this French-based contractor. That does not happen with a good contractor. We need to get Keolis out of here. This community needs to hold the RTC board accountable for their lack of action. Again, the RTC board canceled Friday's board meeting because of a lack of a quorum. You board members all know, the commissioners all know when you guys have these meetings. Why did they cancel it? Because they are afraid to face their failures. They are afraid to face their public that needs to hold them accountable. If the RTC board will not hold their French-based contractor or Keolis accountable, we will hold the RTC board accountable. And we will remember, leaders do not hide from those they serve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Bruce Foster, followed by Aaron Massengale.
Thank you. Mr. Foster, welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, speaking on the C word once again ad nauseum, we must declare an end to the public health emergency ASAP. We must prohibit mandatory COVID-19 vaccines. They're not a vaccine. They're a bioweapon. As they continue to change the formulas, Pfizer and Moderna particularly. We must ban the vaccine passports and verification. I want to go see a basketball game, and since I'm not vaccinated, I can't go. According to our chancellor, you have to be vaccinated. So that means it's a vaccine passport to see a ball game, a basketball game. And I had COVID, and I have my God-given full immunity now. We must ban mask mandates. There's a recent article in the Epic Times where the cloth burqas do not work. And we must promote good health and therapeutic treatments for the C word. And we must make available, like what Ron DeSantis is doing, the monoclonal antibody clinics in and all around Florida. And we must also have available through all our pharmacies and all our doctors, because we all know they have a gun to their heads and they are not allowed to prescribe ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and many other treatments. And then educate the public on the importance of all the vitamin D3, zinc, there's many others. And we must acknowledge that the C word is now endemic and not a pandemic. What really set me off is Health District. It's go time to be fully vaccinated by Christmas. This is Reno 11/11. And then I was appalled that we gave homage to the health department here by still pushing the bioweapon. I would suggest that we take a look at a hearing conducted by U.S. Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin, exposing the devastation of injuries and deaths caused by the jab, the Franken jab, that the corrupt government and media won't tell you, and then you'll weep. It is a 4-hour YouTube that you must watch of all the death and despair and the medical consequences of this jab.
Thank you, Mr. Foster.
Thank you.
Aaron Massengale, followed by Wayne Gordon.
Welcome, Ms. Massengale.
Good morning. I'd like to request that you agendize and pass a resolution to end the public health emergency, something that I've been asking since September of last year. Additionally, I'd like to ask you to agendize and pass a resolution to ban vaccine passports. Vaccine passports promote segregation and discrimination based on medical status and has no place in a free society. A recent study from the Lancet Infectious Disease Medical Journal comparing the efficacy of the COVID-19 injections have shown that people who have received the COVID-19 shots can be equally as infectious as those who have not had the shot, and likely to spread the Delta variant of the virus to contacts in their household and those who have not received the shots. In the study, 621 people in the UK with mild COVID-19 between September 13th of 2020 and September 15th of 2021, scientists found that their peak viral load was similar regardless of vaccination status. The analysis also found that 25% of vaccinated households contacts still contracted the virus, while 38% of those who had not taken the shot had become infected. In fact, the researchers noted that fully vaccinated individuals with breakthrough infections have peak viral loads similar to unvaccinated cases and can efficiently transmit infection in household settings, including to fully vaccinated contacts. This is ridiculous. And shame on you for not taking a stance for civil and human rights.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, we lost the timer.
Tech Services just went back to fix the machine. We do have another timer, so
Okay.
we'll call Wayne Gordon.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, Mr. Gordon.
As you've heard very many times before, you swore an allegiance to the Constitution of the United States of America to support the Constitution, and I remind you that, again, I think I've done this every time, that a law is passed by the legislating body, our legislature, signed by the governor, and then it becomes a law that can be enforced. A mandate is no such thing. You must like us all pretty much to keep doing what you're doing and have us come every week. We spend a half hour saying similar things that you ignore completely, except for one person there, and you ignore her completely. All this information that's used for this is based on a person named Fauci, who is now 80 years old, the highest paid civil employee in the United States. He has lied numerous times, such as in 2012, when about working to make viruses transmissible through the air, when he did in fact do it with the novel H5N1 influenza virus, then argued that it was a good thing, this gain of function, and later lied about his involvement in gain of function. In 2014, Obama instituted a moratorium on gain of function, but it didn't stop Fauci, who in 2015 continued gain of function research. This resulted in the cover-up of his work that was done at the Wuhan virus lab. In 2017, he started again using different nomenclature rather than gain of function, using a lab that was not properly set up for that use, to handle that work. And I'll remind you that he told us at the start of this epidemic that we didn't need masks, that they were useless against this virus. Do y'all remember that? Then he told us that, oh, we do need a mask. Oh my God, you have to wear masks. Then he told us we have to wear 2 masks. Are these not facts? Are you gonna, okay? And then also he told us COVID is from a wet market. And then he said, no, maybe it is from Wuhan lab. This is the person we're depending on to tell us the truth about what's going on.
you, Mr. Gordon.
Lastly, we have emails from Janet Butcher and Hawa Ahmad that I will place on the record.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, I see no one else signed in. I will close public comment. Mr. Manager, that takes us now to item number 6, Commissioners and County Managers announcements.
Howdy. Item 6 is Commissioners and County Managers announcements, reports, and updates to include boards and commissions updates, requests for information, or topics for future agendas.
Do you have any such items, Mr. Manager?
I do not this morning.
Okay. Commissioner Hill, I have you signed in first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to take the opportunity to thank this board for your support of the Tahoe Prosperity Center's workforce housing study that was just done in Incline Village in Crystal Bay. I will email the report to the board, and if there's an appetite, maybe there's a board presentation that we can do down the line, but really great recommendations and findings from that report on how we can ensure that the backbone of Tahoe's economy has a place to live. And on that note, I'm requesting that we look at affordable housing as one of our workshop topics when we do our big meeting to discuss what we want to focus on for 2022. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Commissioner Jung, do you have anything? I don't see you signed in, but do you have anything?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to reiterate what Donna Clontz, who's a member of our Washoe County Senior Services Advisory Board, we all received a letter from the new chairwoman, Haba Ahmed, where they condensed and consolidated their critical needs when it comes to our ARPA funding. And I have already forwarded that on to the manager. And I just wanted to remind you that I announced this a couple weeks ago, that they were getting down to brass tacks and have a lot of data to help advocate for themselves. So I'm proud that they were here today to advocate for that. And I just invite all of you to listen into any of these meetings that they have, because these are the Senior Services Advisory Boards, both at the county, Sparks, and Reno, are some of the most active and effective boards that I've served as a liaison to. So I'm really proud of them, and I hope you'll take a great look at that. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Herman, I have you signed in next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have 2 items that I'm going to give to the county manager. One is another dangerous school zone as far as lights, missing lights, and the other one is another serious waste management. It affects an elderly lady that really needs some help, so I'm going to hand this over to our manager. Thank you.
Okay.
And then, again, I am going to request that we produce a resolution to remove us from the health emergency. Again, thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, for me, let me do a little housekeeping first. Last meeting, November 9th, I neglected to acknowledge Commissioner Kitty Jung's disbursement of $2,500 in the fiscal year 21-22 for a grant to Glenn Duncan STEM Academy to provide funds for the completion of an exterior mural. We approved that, but I wanted to thank Commissioner Jung for her support for Glenn Duncan. Okay, and I apologize for not seeing that in the last meeting, Commissioner.
This
Now-
is even better. I like it when I get forgotten, because then I get more attention. Thank you.
Okay, so several things. Let me start with a bit of sad news. I attended yesterday Mr. Norm Deanda's funeral. There were a number of community members there. I mean, it was extremely well attended. Mr. Deanda and his wife Laura passed away a few years ago, and now Mr. Deanda passed away. They were a force of nature in this community, and all the things that they did through Q&D construction. And I will miss Norm immensely. He was a dear friend for many years, and just a wonderful fellow. So I was there representing us. Then I too have an issue at Eagle Canyon Park. We have parents in the afternoon who have decided, well, so let me back up here. Because the Washoe County School District has not provided a pickup location for the parents in Shaw Middle School, the parents are forced to park in Eagle Canyon Park, and they are now parking on the walking path that goes through the park. So we need to either red stripe it or put up signs or perhaps some enforcement. I don't know what's necessary in order to take care of this, but it's certainly a problem that we need to address. Then I wanted to also address, there was a comment about RTC's meeting on Friday. I don't know why we have not appointed an alternate. We should have done that. That is certainly our mistake. Chairman Lucy and Chairman of the RTC board, Neoma Jardin, are both out. Coincidentally, this is all this is, there is a meeting in Carson City of NACO. It's scheduled at 9:30 a.m., which I will be in attendance, so I'll be traveling to Carson City for that meeting. That is where redistricting will be discussed. As everyone knows, Washoe County is the second largest county in Nevada, and we need to have representation there. It normally would have been the chairman, Commissioner Lucy, because he is also on the executive team, but he is again out. He's out this entire week, so I am picking up that duty, and it just so happens that it conflicted with the RTC meeting. There was no conspiracy, but what we will do immediately is this has certainly brought to light that we need an alternate appointed so that those meetings can be conducted when we cannot be there. So again, I apologize, but I did not determine the timing of redistricting. That's been determined by a higher authority, so that's where I'll be. Other than that, did I knock anything loose for any of the other commissioners? Okay. All right, Mr. Manager, we will close item number 6, and that takes us to item number 7.
Item number 7 is a presentation and discussion by Washoe County Library Director Jeff Scott regarding the ACT American College Testing Work-Ready Communities Initiative to include an explanation of the program, Washoe County's involvement, and next steps in the initiative. Mr. Scott.
Mr. Scott. So, Mr. Manager, before I want to open up item 6, just stay right there. I want to open up item 6, and what I'd like you to do, and hopefully Commissioner Lucy will agree to this, because he's the chairman, but I'd like you to prepare, and you and legal to prepare what Washoe County's role in the health emergency is, and what role we have from the governor's mandates, and what role you have in the health emergency. So please note that on the record, and it'll be up to the chairman to decide whether we'll have that agenda item. Mr. Scott, the floor is yours. I apologize.
Good morning. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Excuse me, sorry, Mr. Scott. I don't want to steal your thunder because I know what you're doing is great. I would also like the DA's office to come back with a primer, maybe 7 minutes on what are constitutional rights and who owes you those rights and who doesn't, because I think sometimes we all get confused about that, and I'd love to hear it from somebody who, went to school to study the Constitution rather than you or I opining, not that we don't have great opinions, just to set the tone for all of us, in addition to what is our role and goal in those sort of things, and what effectively can we do or not do, and what the consequences are, right? Is it of consequence? So that's another question while we're still on it, and then I cede the floor back to you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Jung. I apologize, Mr. Scott. I triggered something for Commissioner Jung. We will close item number 6 and take us to item number 7. The floor is yours, sir. I promise you.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for having me here today. We're really excited about libraries. We appreciate the support of Commissioner that is provided for our libraries. We just hired all of our folks from this latest budget increase. So we do have libraries open 7 days a week, so we're really thrilled about that. So we're charging ahead with new initiatives. We recently are about to bring our strategic plan to our library board for approval. One of the big components that came back through our community forum was talking about workforce development, importance of making sure we're very competitive in attracting people to Washoe County, attracting prominent businesses, attracting skilled workers who can come here and compete here and make Washoe County a better place to live. So one of those components is the ACT program. So this is the ACT program is very familiar with the college ACT. It is actually one and the same. So most students will go through the ACT process. You know, they go and take the test, and it unlocks opportunities for them out in the world. This ACT program also will unlock opportunities for potential candidates to work in Washoe County. So there's 3 different testing that you might be familiar with in relation to job opportunities. So you have the ACT that students take in high school to unlock opportunities for colleges. You have Work Keys, which is currently available at places like the American Job Center. So Work Keys is something if you want to look at, if you're unemployed, you're looking at placement, they'll do that test. So in passing that test, you'd have to have a 3rd grade reading proficiency and 7th grade math proficiency. And those 2 things, when you pass those, they can place you in any job available in Washoe County. If you can't pass those, then they refer you to adult basic education services that are available in places like Truckee Meadows Community College and Northern Nevada Literacy Center. So this last component is Job Keys, and that is basically an ACT test. It's a 3-component test that takes about 3 hours to take. They can take it from anywhere. As a certified business, you can have your potential employees take the test anywhere, and then it connects to the online system that you have. So a lot of times you might have testing that people have to come in for, do it in person. This allows opportunity to do that online. Start with the virtual environments and convenience of that. It enhances those the placement test. So the goals of that, when you have the testing, when this gets into enforcement, you have the potential school district can use it and place that with students who may not want to take a college route. They can take the ACT this way and then get immediately available for employment. So a lot of the experience they may not have yet, having the skill set that's available, they can go and take this test and then be available for local businesses and get right into the workforce that way. So, you know, trying to identify key skills, trying to upskill these employees, potential employees, reskill them, and then helps make our Washoe County place a desirable place to live and work. So again, the testing talks about job-specific skills, essential skills, foundation skills. We're really getting a good test of what the employee can do and have that long-term placement with the employer. So if they take the test, they're more likely to have better candidates that we're hiring, and they'll retain them longer. So that saves us money in the long term. We're not having a high turnover rate. We're making sure it's a good placement, it's a good fit for the employees coming into any business in Washoe County. So this gives you kind of a rundown of that. You have the website workreadycommunities.org that's available. We're pinpointing skill needs. We're looking at policymakers for educators to help students when they graduate get into the workforce, either by college or through just vocational opportunities. Prepare for success, and also improves our economic development. So again, making Washoe County a competitive place to live and work. They'll have employees that will have the skills already coming in. There won't be a lot of training time. You'll have a really good fit for those employees. This gives you kind of a breakdown of how the curriculum kind of works. You have a study schedule that you could take. You have a self-evaluation you can take. You have quizzes, interactive study tools, embedded interactivities, and actionable performance state. So you can get studied, take a test, take a pre-test. It's very similar to what we have in our libraries already. When you have different vocational tests you can take through our library databases, you can take those online. This adds another component to that so people can brush up their workforce skills and then make themselves a better candidate for employment. So 3 components for that, just like the ACT. You have the applied math, graphic literacy, and workplace documents. So the ability to assess your typical day in the workforce, going into the office, understanding instructions, being able to take that to the next step. It's always a Confucius rule is a good student can bring the three quarters of the square from 1 quarter. So that's kind of the same kind of concepts with these, of being able to make those assessments through this test. So you have organizations in Nevada who currently have already employed in this process: Nye County, Humboldt County, Esmeralda County, Lincoln County, and Clark County. So Washoe County is addition to that program. Move on to the next steps for that. There's a local leadership team. The Work Keys program is currently being employed by over 514 communities across the United States. We have a local leadership team already ready to go. Cassidy McNeil with the Department of Welfare, Amy Fleming with GoWin, Ann Silver with Reno Sparks Chamber of Commerce, Adrian Santiago with Northern Nevada Literacy Council, Kara Harris with EDON, Dana Ryan with TMCC, and Milt Stewart and Cherry Hill with Nevada Work. So all really key agencies for workforce development, connecting both the workforce that's here with the businesses that employ them. So it's a good fit for making sure that this program gets widely adopted and make sure we can really upskill our workforce. So we're already on the process of making these steps. We have local leaders. Our library staff have currently done the boot camp and done the training for that. We're looking at incorporating these pieces into our strategic plan. So as we move forward, we can be a testing site. People can come in and use the library public access computers or the Wi-Fi, or receive training at the library through Northern Nevada Literacy Council or other agencies in the county, and provide that support to get them ready to go. So you have a number of steps here. You have core team, local leaders, boot camp, instruction, best practices, implement plans and services, developing the Work Keys testing and employing that, launch the initiative, and then certification. So there's different layers of certification that you can take based on how many businesses will adopt it. It goes from bronze all the way to platinum. So there's a lot of potential here for us to really make us, put us on the map as far as Work Keys goes to make us a really desirable place to live and work. So you have our secrets to success, leveraging the data that we have, a leadership team, engaged team with the library, developing business champions, engagement with the ACT process, having county meetings discussing the Work Keys and steps forward going forward. So make it quick for you, since we have a large agenda today. So it's a pretty straightforward program for the most part. You're just looking at doing the testing. People can do that from home. They can do that at the library. They can receive training at the library, and then basically unlock that with local businesses also adopting that. So it makes it a very quick process to get people the skills they need and get them ready for the workforce. So, any questions?
Okay, yes, as a matter of fact, we do, but hold on a minute, Commissioner Hill. I want to, before we jump into this, I have a question for you, Mr. Scott, because this is something that I brought up to our commission about an incubator with EDON. We have a lot of local folks who would love to open a small business. They'd love to get a business license, get a sales tax permit, keep accurate books, open an SIIS account, all of those things that they have no idea how to navigate and provide services locally to our growing region and the growing economy. And I mean, it goes for everything from landscaping to photography. So there's all points in between, and many of these folks have great skill. They just don't know how to accomplish all of those things and sort of be right with the state. Even getting a fictitious name, all the things that are involved in that. There's so much involved that unless you've done it before, you have no idea all the steps necessary. So I'm wondering, in this process, and I applaud that we are looking at how we can advance these skill levels to accommodate that. But I think one of the skill levels that's necessary is understanding how a small business operates.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's certainly something you can accomplish at any local library reference desk. So if you're looking at creating a small business, they correct you to the forms, talk you through how it works. We can certainly look at enhancing that. Like I said, we're in the midst of our strategic plan and getting that passed. So providing more support for local small businesses or entrepreneurs to set that up.
Yes.
There's a lot of potential for that. We actually did a Google workshop a number of years ago talking about how we can integrate all these different steps to help you scale up if you're just a one-person business or just a few people business and be able to get that kind of support. And we do have a network with that. So we can definitely restart that and see what connections we can make to get that going forward.
That's wonderful, yeah. And create a website, advertise, and just be a legal entity.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
local
it's
legal
easy for us
entity.
to do. It fits right in with our reference desk. Absolutely.
Good, thank you so much. Commissioner Hill, I have you signed in first. Forgive me for jumping ahead.
I think that's an amazing idea. So thank you for pointing that out, Mr. Chairman. I think this is great as well. How can we support getting the word out? Because I'm assuming the big step, since you're already working with the employers, is the students, or how can we support this effort?
We'll have the leadership convene after this presentation and then start talking about next steps with that, with the boot camp. So the library staff have the training, we have the people involved, and then we're looking at what the next steps are about integrating that with our local businesses and also with the school district to make sure there's opportunities for the students, that if their college is an opportunity for them they want to pursue, they can look at other opportunities with this WorkKeys ACT program.
Great. And so for students who, I know that this is WorkKeys, so not just the traditional ACT, correct?
Right. So it's a little more specific to the work environment.
Right. Okay. Great to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Herman, I have you signed in next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm a member of Nevada Works, and that your program you're talking about would fit right in to what they do, and maybe even a member of your staff could be set up at the one-stop shop, and
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have the CRVU libraries right by the American Job Center, so we're working really
Awesome.
closely with them.
Perfect.
So that's really a good opportunity for us. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Jung, do you have anything for Mr. Scott?
Sure, Mr. Chairman. I just want to commend you, Mr. Scott, and your staff, and the history of the Washoe County Library and your amazingly adaptable staff. I remember after the Great Recession, the librarians came and presented and told us how much they were working on helping people navigate job searches, helping them write resumes, helping them write cover letters. So I just appreciate so much how much you can adapt. And I can't go without saying either, most recently helping us with contact tracing during the major surge of COVID and retooling there. So I love the commitment that librarians have. It's part of their ethos. I know that, but it still always is refreshing be how adaptable and you can switch so much, and how libraries have really transformed to being more than a place where you go for reference or check out books. And I just applaud that adaptability on your staff and how much they're always ready to jump in and fix the issue that we're dealing with at the moment in our community. It goes without saying, and I hope everybody listens really clear, that our county staff as a whole, and specifically the Washoe County Library staff, have such a commitment to this community. And I challenge anyone to go to any local library. That I must say, Commissioner Hill pushed the hardest to go back to 7 days a week being open. That was another major accomplishment by her, being a cheerleader and new eyes coming here, frankly, and a new advocate. So I love the library. I'll always support the library and its system, but I really admire and respect the adaptability and innovations that your team and you have done historically since I've been here. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Jung. Yeah, and I to dovetail on that, I mean, you're absolutely right. When I was young, most of us here in the room, the internet did not exist. You had to go to the library. That's where you went. If you needed to do research to write a paper or to find information, you could certainly go and interview folks, but the library was the source. I remember as a child, my parents bought us an Encyclopedia Britannica set so that we would have a piece of that in our own home, so we didn't have to venture out to the library each time we wanted to do something and we needed a piece of information. You have so morphed, and kudos to the library system, and we thank you for all that hard work.
Thank you, Commissioners. I appreciate that. Want to be adaptable to serve our community, so thank you.
Thank you. Very nice. Okay. All right, Mr. Manager, that takes us to item number 8, presentation by Chief Deputy Greg Herrera.
Item 8 is a presentation by Chief Deputy Greg Herrera regarding the nuisance property at 320 Quartz Lane and surrounding areas concerning ongoing efforts working with Waste Management, Community Services Department, Code Enforcement, Washoe County Sheriff's Office, and the Office of the County Manager to provide updates. Presentation may include ongoing abatement efforts and past declaration of nuisance.
Good morning,
Welcome.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, and thank you for allowing us to be here today. I apologize for not having a full presentation. With the holiday and staffing, we weren't able to make that happen, but we're more than prepared to have some discussion here on this unique, complex problem. Although I don't have a PowerPoint presentation, I do have some photos to depict, if you haven't been out there, to take a look for yourself, the area of Quartz Lane. And I know that you've been hearing over the course of numerous meetings from your constituents the situation out there. Captain Bell and I have been out there on a number of occasions, and it's every bit as bad as they're telling you it is. So we've been working through this problem. I apologize. With me today is Captain Mark Bello. He just transferred from detention to the Operations Bureau. I'm happy to have him out in the Patrol Division. He's worked alongside me for 25 years. He's a tremendous problem solver, and he's definitely working his way around this problem as well. So anything that I miss, I'm sure that he will pick me up on.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Captain.
So I think you've heard about some of the unique challenges. We've been, the Sheriff's Office has been involved in cleanup efforts of abandoned vehicles and illegal dumping throughout the county. I don't think you can go to any of your districts where there's not an issue of that magnitude. And we've been working on many of them. We have to prioritize them, based upon, a number of things because of our staffing. However, this particular location has been on our radar for quite a while. We've been, actually, Captain Bell and I have been out there a couple times to speak to a couple of residents along with the county manager's team out there. So I did send you an action plan that is basically a hierarchy action plan that we use for a lot of these cleanup efforts. That includes some of the statutes that we use when going out to these operations. However, in this case, because of the complexities and the complexities exist of the Quartz Lane itself, a lot of it is private property. So we've had to work our way through that. I think that you're aware that we've been out to this location before. I don't have the exact date, but I know it was just over a year ago where we did some cleanup efforts out there. We do get complaints from time to time where we go out there and tow a vehicle or two, but in order to mitigate through some of this risk with the private properties, we've sent certified letters out to the property owners for permission to clean up illegal dumping on their properties. And we have received some permission from some of the parcels. However, the biggest parcel remaining it's the area in front of 320 Quartz. We sent out a certified letter, and that came back to us, so we haven't been able to get a hold of anybody, so we don't have permission.
Excuse me. Hold on just a second
Sure.
right there, Chief Deputy, because I have a question for you. So this is all private property.
Correct.
So technically, we don't have the authority to enter private property.
That's correct.
Okay, without permission.
That's correct, sir.
Okay. And even with permission, it still gets a little iffy. Am I correct in that?
It does, sir.
It's a little delicate?
It does. And over the course of a couple years, as this has become more and more of a community problem,
Yes.
we've had to try to work our way through some of that stuff, along with sending certified letters. We've worked with the legal to do our due diligence. In other words, we've reached out on a number of times. We've looked at the safety aspect. There's one at the back of Sun Valley where there were some cars there where children were traversing back and forth to school. So we had to make a decision. We did the best we could to mitigate risk, but ultimately we made every effort we could to contact not only the property owner, but also the owner of the vehicles, and made the choice to tow those vehicles based upon the due diligence that we had completed. And we intend to use the same process to work our way through this problem on Quartz. I'm pleased to say just yesterday, our team went out there and posted a number of those vehicles, and they're posted with our 72-hour notice. And we are coordinating efforts to hopefully start working on cleanup efforts with sheriff's inmate work crews out there to start cleaning up on Thursday. I'm very comfortable with towing some of the vehicles along courts. But, you know, there's an area in front of that 320 courts that I'm not completely comfortable with. So Captain Bello will be out there working with our team to make decisions as we go forth. There's an individual at that location that, you know, I think there's a couple different things at play here where he, you know, is trying to make a living. He does odd jobs for different people, and I think, quite frankly, you know, he gets taken advantage of periodically. If you look in his backyard, there's a lot of stuff back there that he intends to do stuff with in his mind, and there's a vehicle that maybe you and I would believe is an abandoned vehicle and never going to move again. He believes he's going to put a motor in that. So he's pulled it off the roadway onto his property. So some of the things that we're going to have to continue having those conversations with this gentleman to work with. I know that Commissioner Jung's asked on a number of occasions, you know, what is our plan to make sure that we don't keep on coming back here? So this isn't Groundhog's Day, and that's a great question, and that's something that we're still working through. We'll be working with code enforcement. You know, we even brought up roads into the question to see if there was some sort of environmental design that could help us, you know, fix this effort. And because of the private property aspect, we haven't been able to come up with those solutions. So my best solution at this point is we're going to be sending a team, and I believe that Mr. Manager sent a team as well, to knock on doors of the community out there and make sure that they know the processes. Because I've been before you, the board before, talking about our successes in way of illegal dumping and abandoned vehicles, when we were able to make a difference and make arrests and publicize that stuff to hopefully thwart future efforts. Matter of fact, over this last weekend, we just had a success where we arrested a person for illegal dumping. But it doesn't happen without the community. If we don't get that timely call, those eyes and ears that are out there all the time and seeing that, it's not going to happen. So our campaign is going to be just that, is asking the community out there for their partnership and calling us in a timely manner, and so we can get deputies effectively out there in a timely manner to do that. So that'll be done as part of this operation. I'm sure I'm missing a lot of stuff, but Mark, what am I missing here?
I think you've covered it very well. I think the key to ensuring that this doesn't happen again is that outreach, that communication, and I think over a nearly 27-year career, the bulk of my career has been through operations, and at no other time has this division been so engaged with the community, and I think that's really going to help minimize the effects on this street by getting the community engaged, let them know that we care about it, get some informal social control out there with the neighbors and getting those calls in early and getting the situation handled. As the chief spoke of just this last weekend, we got a notification of a potential illegal dumper. The deputies were able to respond in a timely manner, knowing the importance of this in the community. They were able to track down the individual and make an arrest. So it is effective. We can't be everywhere at all times. Obviously, everybody has staffing issues, and we try to put our resources where they're best needed. So they're not in all of the communities at all the time, at every point. So we really do need that community engagement and that discussion, those calls in, so we can fight those issues before they become a bigger problem like we have here right now. But we look to get this cleaned up quickly and move forward with it.
Okay. I have questions, but you can proceed. My questions can wait till the end.
So, Mr. Chair, if I just could quickly, I'd just like to show some of the photos out there that we expect
Turn it the other way.
Deal with, and I apologize.
There you go. Thank you so much. There. Thank you.
That are some of the vehicles, some of the situations,
goodness.
some of the uniqueness of the motor homes that you'll see and the trailers out there is that it's not just a simple tow to effectively deal with that. We have to tow them and get the fluids drained out, get the appliances taken out before Waste Management will accept that. So that has taken some doing. We have personnel working on that. There's a ton of tires, as you can see in the top middle photo. We have a local company that has agreed to to take those at a reasonable cost, so we're working with them to make that happen. And then, you know, DMV is a huge key in this as far as getting junk certificates for these vehicles once the research has been effectively done. Just to zip through these real quick, here's some more you'll see out there. And then,
Our HOPE team has been pretty integral in this as well, as a couple of these
Yes.
vehicles have been occupied by folks experiencing homelessness. So they've been out there communicating with them, trying to provide them resources to help us in the effort in cleaning that up as well.
Okay?
and that's the, I'd love to have questions, Mr. Chair. The only thing I add is that that's one thing I want to make sure that everybody understands is there's a lot of moving parts here. We could not get this done if it wasn't for the collaborative effort of not only entities in the county, but also out in the community as far as tow companies and the businesses that are helping us. So I want to make that understood too. And with that, I'll answer questions.
Okay, I've got myself signed in first. Let me start with this. And I was not a commissioner when our nuisance code was enacted and we went through this process. And I mean, it was a long, tenuous process. There was some members from the Citizens Advisory Board where I served who served on that nuisance code committee, as it were. But my question stems to, do we need to tweak the nuisance code? I'm not suggesting we crack it open, but do we need to tweak it a little bit? And perhaps even one of the things is more stringent penalties. If we catch you illegally dumping, we catch, a car is out there and you're the last known registrant of that car, that it's going to cost you.
So my answer to that would be absolutely. I think the accountability piece of this is huge, and we've struggled in that area. Specifically tracking down, and I think some NRSs need to be changed too, as far as tracking down ownership of the last registered owner. That stuff has been difficult for us
I see.
because Nevada is a non-titling state, so that's made it a challenge for us as well. But I would love to see a little bit more teeth in the codes, and we've worked with code enforcement, and they can, answer as well, but their hands has been tied on a lot of these just because of lack of accountability. So the answer is yes, Mr. Chair.
And one of the things, commissioners, I think we need to do is have a deeper conversation with Waste Management about their role and how they can play a role in this. I mean, they're a huge company. They make, I'm going to hold my tongue, a lot of money off of our entire community, not just unincorporated Washoe County, but of course, the city of Reno and city of Sparks. So, and maybe we need to bring our two regional partners in to say, okay, how do we solve this? Because just because they're not dumping in the city of Sparks or in the city of Reno, they're going to these outlying areas in District 5 and District 1 and District 4 and District 2 and dumping because it's expensive to go to Lockwood and of course it's all the way out in Lockwood. So there's a lot of reasons why this occurs. But I'd be happy to sit with staff and maybe with one of your staff members, and if you can do this for us, and then I'll relinquish the floor. If you can do this for us give me a primer, not now, but of where we can tweak the codes, what would be more useful to you, that would be very helpful for us. Because for us to just, sort of pell-mell crack open the code and we don't know where to start, we don't know where the inconsistencies are, we don't know where the hiccups are for the SO. And then the last thing that I'll say, and I'll reiterate this, I'm happy to put some of my commission district funds into a pool, and that would be a pool that could be used to clean up some of these issues in all 5 commission districts.
Thank you, sir. I would add that Sun Valley GAD has been a tremendous partner and resource. We couldn't have done a lot of the cleanup we've done already without them. And, you know, I have statistics, I didn't bring them with me today, but I'd be happy to share. We tow a number of vehicles on a weekly basis, just because they're abandoned out there all the time. And Sun Valley JD is integral in providing funds for us to accomplish that.
No, that's great to have that partnership with them. And another thing that
Real
I would.
quick, Mr. Chair, to address
sorry,
that waste
Mr.
management piece,
Captain.
I'd be glad to have that larger conversation with them to see where else they might be able to put efforts. But I would be remiss if I didn't say that they have been working with us very closely on this Courts Lane project for both providing a dumpster to help minimize the amount of time it takes to get rid of that garbage.
Yes.
And then also for the Lockwood landfill, they're providing us with the ability to take some larger vehicle, some of the larger vehicles out there once we get the fluids removed and everything. So,
I see. Right.
I will look to have a larger conversation, see how better they can serve us as a community as well and our needs. But they have been helpful in this effort.
Okay. No, that's wonderful. And what most people don't realize is many of the times when you see illegal dumping occur, it's not necessarily on public land, it's on private property. It's on somebody's actual property. And just because you're not out there, you know, sort of managing it, doesn't give somebody the right to dump. And in fact, I've had this on my own property. I had a neighbor in my own neighborhood, this is going back quite a number of years, dump on my back lot. And there's only an easement between, and I just have desert back there, but yet they felt like, hey, they could dump there. So it was really pretty bizarre. So it's quite disconcerting. Let me turn this over to some of the other commissioners. I apologize. Commissioner Hill, I have you signed in next.
I just wanted to kind of layer on what you were saying, Mr. Chairman, about how can we work with the state legislature this next session to come up with some, like Chief Deputy Herrera was saying, some teeth on changing NRS to help. I know that Reno and Sparks, I think that they would sponsor a bill with us. So perhaps we should start that interim committee to start discussing how we can support you when we have an opportunity to change laws as well. So thank you very much for your efforts on this.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Herman, I have you signed in next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to thank you gentlemen for all the work you've done. I mean, I know that it's a very difficult job. It is all the legal entities and things that you have to go through to get started. So it's a big job, and we'd like to help as a board, you know, as much as we can. So if there's something that we can do that you need, you know, just ask and we'll see what we can do to get it done.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Commissioner Jung, I have you signed in next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of the issues that I have with people calling in, trying to interfere with an active illegal dump, is they don't know where to call. What is the best place to call?
Certainly, if there was a crime in progress, although we don't want to tie up 911 is on things that aren't currently active, they certainly can if they don't have any other resource to call 911. But we also have our non-emergency police dispatch line that they're welcome to call. That's probably the better option. They don't love that option. They say that when they call that, they don't get prompt response, that they don't feel like their issues are being heard. So I'm wondering if maybe Keep Truckee Meadows Beautiful could put up a hotline that they could, we give them money. Lots of other organizations around here give Keep Truckee Meadows Beautiful money. I wonder if there can't be just a one number that maybe they figure out what they can handle and then they forward it on to law enforcement. I'm not sure. I just know that the process that we have right now, I've heard
for years that they don't like that way of doing it. They don't feel like it is effective, is more like it, not a preference. It's just they don't feel like it's effective. So when you're working on your strategies and stuff, that might be something we do as a community, just one number. And I know it's not 311 because the sheriff's office doesn't use our 311. There has to be one number that people can call. And I agree, I would tell them anyways, if it was actively in process, that's a crime, call 911, right? But even just to report that is out there and what will the action plan be? What kind of information are they given as to when this will be cleaned up? Will an officer come out, or must this be something they initiate? So I think the process needs to be a lot clearer for residents across these Truckee Meadows who are not sure what to do about it. The other question I have, Mr. Chairman, and this is a question also for the DA's office, and maybe we need a special attorney-client. I want to talk about consequences of so what if we've done our due diligence. We tried to get a hold of these people who own this property, which, by the way, is their responsibility, not your responsibility or mine, to keep people from trespassing and dumping on. That's the homeowner's responsibility. So I'm wondering if we could have an attorney-client so that we can really flesh out what are the consequences we're looking at if we do go ahead and remove stuff from an abandoned property of which there is no owner. So I think that's something that we need to talk offline and in private. The other question is, when you're talking about this particular parcel in your presentation, is that owner-occupied or is that a renter?
At 320 Courts, that is owner occupied, Commissioner.
Okay. Yeah, well, I know that puts us in a real bad position because if you put a lien on the property, we learned this with baseball, we're probably the 7th, 8th in line for a lien. So that's another, I just need more fleshing out with my colleagues in private, with the attorneys, to say, what can we do? What are the consequences? What are we afraid of? Because again, I will say this is over 14 years. So something isn't working. And I want to know what the gun shyness is. And I'm sure there's more to it than what I'm understanding. I'm not saying that it's wrong. I just think that's a policy this board should be able to work on as well, and the risk we can take. We have to stand for all kinds of getting sued every day. And I'm not saying that I love it, but it is a consequence of doing business and being a government. So I would like to flesh that out a little bit more. Those are my only comments, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Those are great comments. And as you were speaking, I wrote down, an illegal dump hotline, and then Commissioner Hill was kind enough to bring it up. There is one. It's not as easy to dial any longer. Now, from my home phone, you have to dial 1-775-329, and then you have to look up what DUMP is. But maybe, Mr. Manager, maybe Commissioner Hill is right. Keep Truckee Meadows beautiful. Maybe we can help them to establish just like any other hotlines that we have. We have Washoe 311. Maybe it's time that we establish a dump hotline, because this is our community, and in fact it's really interesting because my wife's brother came to town and then ended up driving east and noted how dirty the highway was between here and essentially the Tri-Center. Just how much trash there was along the highway, and he's from Pennsylvania, and they have some other mechanism to clean those roadways, and that's not necessarily illegal dumping, just people just throwing things out who just don't care. But maybe it's time that we relook at this and we revisit it. And maybe one of the things that we can talk to Waste Management about is, maybe once a quarter, depending on how this gets fleshed out, maybe we do have an open dump day, not at Lockwood, not at the transfer station, but where we bring out 10 or 15 dumpsters into a community and allow people to dump. Just, something that we sponsor as and maybe it can be through Keep Truckee Meadows Beautiful, so that we can funnel it through an organization like that. I'm just, again, thinking out loud. But I like Commissioner Jung's idea of sitting down in a closed session to talk about what our legal options are, and then basically go from there. Commissioners, I have no one else signed in. I think we've thoroughly kicked this thing. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Captain Bello, thank you. I know you're out in Spanish Springs now, and I appreciate the hard work out there. Hopefully you guys can get out to the park and stop people from parking on that walking path until we can get a better resolved. Oh, this has nothing to do with this. Chief Deputy, thank you so much, and I appreciate both you, all the hard work that you're doing. And Mr. Solero, apparently, you were not needed.
Thank you, and we were talking offline about that issue that you'd mentioned earlier. so
Yeah,
we'll get
no,
that
thank
looked
you.
into. Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, Commissioners, that takes us now to, I know we've got some folks waiting patiently. Thank you so much in the back of the room. I'm sure this is what this is. This is a proclamation. This is 9A1. Mr. Manager, the floor is yours.
9A1 is to proclaim the week of November 15 through 21st, 2021 as National Apprenticeship Week.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, today
Commissioner
we
Hill,
have a
welcome.
great group of people that will be presenting the proclamation to. I know that City of Sparks Councilwoman Diane Vanderwell had to leave, but we have Rob Benner and Wendy Stolaroff with the Building and Construction Trades Council of Northern Nevada. We have Randy Cannondale, the president of the Northern Nevada Apprenticeship Coordinators Association, and Chad Ruki. Okay, great. Who is the secretary of the Northern Nevada Apprenticeship Coordinators Association. So I will read this. and then give-
Before you start that, Mr. Ruki, are you related to Kevin Ruki?
Yes, sir.
Okay, are you the Chad Ruki that I spoke to?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Thanks again.
I didn't recognize you. Yes, it's the mask. Everyone looks like a bandit now. Forgive me, Commissioner Hill. Thank you so much.
Oh, no, that's fine. I'll read this proclamation, present it to y'all, and then give you an opportunity to say a few words. So, Washoe County, Nevada proclamation. Whereas National Apprenticeship Week highlights the importance of the vital role registered apprenticeships create for individuals seeking opportunities to earn while they learn, and whereas apprenticeship programs provide an affordable pathway to well-paying careers that are inclusive of historically marginalized people, providing a path for all qualified individuals to become apprentices and contribute to Nevada's industries. And whereas this proven and industry-driven training model provides a pipeline of talent to the workforce to address issues such as rebuilding our country's infrastructure and responding to climate change. And whereas more than 5,000 active registered apprentices are currently training in Nevada for high-skilled construction careers that will contribute to the prosperity of our state. Now, therefore, the Washoe County Board of County Commissioners does proclaim November 15th through the 21st as National Apprenticeship Week, dated the 16th day of November 2021, signed by our chairman, Bob Lucy.
Congratulations. Gentlemen or ladies, if you'd like to step up to the microphone, you're welcome to say a few words. Just please identify yourself so that the clerk knows who you are.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Hill, for reading that. Commissioner Hartung, or Vice Chair Hartung, and other commissioners, thank you for having us here today. We appreciate the proclamation. For the record, my name is Randy Canali. I'm training coordinator for the plumbers, pipe fitters, and pipe welders and HVAC service technicians apprenticeship program, and I'm also president of the Northern Nevada Apprenticeship Coordinators Association, who are the ones that gave you the packets today that you have with the information about a lot of the things we do and what we offer. Again, thank you for reading the proclamation, Commissioner Hill, and appreciate you recognizing, and all board members recognize the importance and value of building trades registered apprenticeship and presenting this proclamation to us. As you may note in your packet, you received from us today Northern Nevada Apprenticeship Coordinators Association is currently training about 700 apprentices in Northern Nevada in the 11 building and construction trades listed in the pamphlet, which include bricklayers, construction craft laborers, electricians, heat and frost insulators, iron workers, operating engineers, painters and allied trades, plasterers and cement, plumbers, pipe fitters, and HVAC service techs, sheet metal workers, and NV Energy apprentices for electricians, linemen, fitters, and welders, and the like. And we also are joining and getting membership from the Elevator Association. They're joining us now. What we are doing is we're preparing Northern Nevada's workers for the high-tech, advanced construction jobs, and we are creating the workforce that is needed to continue to attract the many new innovative businesses our area is wanting to be able to keep our economy diversified and thriving. Building and Construction Trades Council of Northern Nevada and the training centers represented by NACA, thank you and would like to welcome you to come to our training centers and see what we have. We're tired of being the best kept secret. We want you to come see how we're training these people. Many of these training centers are multi-million-dollar training centers. And again, we train the people in the advanced construction techniques that allow us to bring these sought-after groups like Google, Tesla, blockchain, those types of organizations. If we couldn't build them, they wouldn't come. And we wouldn't be diversifying our economy and being able to meet demands that they need. And we're doing this all while offering the workers a chance to earn while they learn. It's an opportunity for a construction career with a more than livable wage, with health insurance and good retirement plans that aren't just an alternative to college, they actually are college, as all of our programs now earn its members college credit going through the program, and some programs are even set up, such as the electricians, where when they complete the program, they actually get an associate's degree. Again, it's all earn while you learn, as opposed to going through traditional college, where you maybe earn in a 4-year degree program $20,000, $30,000 worth of debt. You still have to pay that off. You go through an apprenticeship program anywhere from 2 to 5 years, and you probably earn anywhere from $100,000 to $350,000 during that same period, zero debt, and at the end of that program, you're in the middle tier. You're not at the bottom of the base. You're a journey worker, and you can only move up from there. So these programs really give a wonderful opportunity to the workers, and we think it's a pretty good trade-off. And then just as one last note, we're also currently partnering with the Washoe County School District, and we're seeking grant money to assist them in implementing the Northern American Building Trades Multi-Craft Core Curriculum, or MC3 program, which is a pre-apprenticeship program which will be taught in their CTE classes, and it'll help create an even easier pathway to our programs for Washoe County students. So again, thank you for celebrating National Apprenticeship Week with us. Help us put an end to us being the best kept secret. And I'd like to give an opportunity for these others to make a statement as well. But thank you very much.
Mr. Canale, thank you so much. Mr. Ruki,
Thank you, Randy.
nice to see you.
Hello, all commissioners. First time I've been up here, so it's a little nerve-wracking for me, but.
No, take a
normally
deep breath, it's
Normally,
all
we bring
good.
apprentices, and they're able to tell their stories. We've got, a couple other proclamations we've received that we've had some great apprentices come up. We have a problem with that is everybody's working, which is a good thing. So I'm gonna give a little bit of my story. I went through the apprenticeship. I've raised 4 kids in this community through this program. I started in '99, and 20-some years later, I'm actually giving back to the apprentices, teaching them. We have many instructors that are giving back that went through the apprenticeship as well. We all continue to learn. We're all continue training. We're all have the ability to receive the degrees through associate's degrees through various colleges. We have a national program, which is back east, and we have Truckee Meadows, which is here. I couldn't have done what I've done with my family without this program. So not so much an apprentice story. I realize it's apprenticeship week, but I was an apprentice once. And like I said, I have some pretty tremendous kids that are contributing to the community. So the program is working, and I'm a direct product of that. So again, not being an apprentice, but I was one at one point. So that's all I wanted to say. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anybody else? Just please identify yourself.
Good morning, Rob Benner, Secretary Treasurer for the Northern Nevada Building and Construction Trades Council. I'll keep it short. I just wanted to add that this week is National Apprenticeship Week, but it also could be National Infrastructure Week because yesterday President Biden just signed a $1 trillion infrastructure package, which will create an estimated 140,000 jobs here in Nevada alone. This is going to create so many opportunities for individuals that want to get in construction and create those apprenticeship opportunities, because apprenticeship has to have a job in order for somebody to be an apprentice. They have to have a job. That's how apprenticeship works. It's hand in hand schooling and working. So this is going to create so many opportunities for our citizens in Washoe County. And yeah, it will, these jobs are transformative for many people. They take somebody that could be making low wages and automatically transfers them into the middle class. So pretty exciting news this week. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's nice to see you again. Anybody else? Wendy? Okay. You know, so one of the things that I wanted to just mention, and I don't know whether we're doing this, Mr. Manager, but are we working with the Eddy House with some of these kids who are homeless to get them into these apprenticeship programs, to get them off the street and get them to being productive?
Not Eddy House specifically.
Okay. I mean, I don't want to take up a bunch of your time, but those are the kids that I would like to target, because then if I can get them out of my system to begin with, then they don't stay in my system for their entire lives, or our system, just the general system, whether they're here, whether they're in Sacramento or Las Vegas, it doesn't matter where.
Yes, and we do presentations at places like the Eddy House and several of the other community resources for people. We try to bring them in, and if they would like to, we try to accelerate their pathways when available.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's essential. I mean, if we can get them on a track like this to begin with, we can get them working. We can get them productive, and they become productive for themselves, and they feel good about themselves because they do have a trade. And I mean, I can't say enough about making sure that our young people have, because college is not for everyone. Many of them aren't cut out for college, but they are cut out to be tradesmen. And that's not a pejorative comment, by the way.
No, and we appreciate that, and that's actually what the NRS statute 610 on apprenticeship states.
On apprenticeships,
is
right.
It's supposed to be diversified to bring about an equitable wage and to be able to make them contributing members of our community.
Yes.
And we absolutely strive to achieve that. And like I say, we feel that we're a little bit too much of the best kept secret. We're trying to get that word out to make sure that, that people realize that they can have a career, not just a job in the construction industry.
I just want to come out and learn how to drive a piece of large equipment. I mean, I can run a backhoe, but I mean, I want to run something that really moves some earth.
Oh, we can arrange that. If you'd like, we can have
I would
you
love
come out
that.
and take a tour of the operator engineers.
Yeah, it's out by Wadsworth. Those guys
right.
are great, by the way. The Wadsworth community loves them. They have helped out tremendously, and I mean, they'll bring a piece of equipment out and do the work, and there's no down. It's not like, okay, who do we call? They've been great community partners, so I applaud you guys for that. Thank you so much. Commissioners, anyone else? Commissioner Jung? Okay.
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay. All right, thank you so much. Congratulations.
I'll take a tour.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Manager, that takes us, as soon as Commissioner Hill, oh, did you want all of us? We'd love to. Sure, let's do that. We're going to take a 4-minute, 5-minute recess, and we're going to take a picture. So, and I apologize for moving on to item 10. I will take your reading of the proclamation, Commissioner Hill, as a motion.
Wonderful.
Okay, do I have a second? Madam Clerk, do I have any public comment on this item?
There's nobody signed in.
Okay, I will close public comment, bring it back to the board. I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. That takes us,
Yes.
okay, there we go. Thank you. That takes us to item 10, donations. Commissioner Hill, would you read our donations for us?
Absolutely, happy to. A recommendation to accept donations of $8,639.12 from various business organizations and individuals for regional parks and open space programs and facilities, and direct the Comptroller's office to make the appropriate budget amendments for community service for possible action. And so thank you so much to the community members for those donations. And can I just read all of them, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go
Okay.
right, yeah, go right.
And
ahead.
a
Either that or the
recommendation.
manager has to do it.
Okay, great. To accept donations to Washoe County Regional Animal Services in the amount of $11,525 retroactive for the period of July 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2021, to be used for the humane care and treatment of sick and/or injured, stray, abandoned, or at-risk animals. Received express appreciation for these thoughtful contributions and direct the Comptroller's office to make the necessary budget amendments. And that is in the form of a motion.
Okay, thank you so much. So I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second, I have a second by Commissioner Herman. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment on item number 10, our donations item?
There's nobody signed in.
Okay, I will bring it back to the board. We have a motion and we have a second. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously with Commissioner Jung being remote. That takes us, Mr. Manager, to our consent. Item number 11.
Yes, sir. 11A, yes, consent 11A1 through 11F1.
Okay. Is there any need to make any changes in the consent agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I have an update. The clerk's office submitted new documents. The CNR report and documents were the incorrect ones, but the new ones have been placed online.
Okay, all right, and it is corrected now.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that update. Okay, so Commissioners, are there any questions on any of the consent items in 11? Commissioner Herman.
I just was looking at 11B1.
Okay.
And just wanted to talk a little bit about that item. I don't want to remove it from the list. I just wanted
Okay.
to make comment on,
Do you need staff?
no.
Okay, go ahead.
No, not this time. This is, cleaning up, getting rid of the barriers and that sort of thing. And there's like such a difference of opinion on what's going on there. Number one, you've got the people that were flooded that are looking at it as, oh boy, now what? Because we don't have anything to replace them. And then the other people that want to drive faster on the road, they're willing and ready to do that. Just one more thing. That's kind of a reclamation kind of thing in Lemon Valley, in a way, if it's a cleanup of something. And I look at item 12 today. Like I said, this is just my comments. And I see that we're spending $9.5 million for reclamation in the south part of the county, and we've got 134,000. And that's kind of typical about what's been happening with the two different areas of the county. So I've had a lot of folks out there kind of make comments about that. Because like for 5 years now, we haven't come up with a real plan for fixing that. I guess that's enough for right now. Thank
Okay.
you.
To those comments, that's why I have asked for the elevation of Lemon Valley Drive and the widening of it to correct much of that, in an attempt to correct that. When we get to item 12, that's actually a very sort of different type of a thing, but that's paid for by ratepayers at the sewer treatment plant, but I'm happy to have that conversation.
I have one more comment, if that would be
Please,
acceptable.
floor is yours.
When you talk about the road,
Mm-hmm.
I have here some comments from a member of the community in Lemon Valley, and she had some very appropriate questions.
Okay, well, I don't-
In pertaining to that, so when would be a good time to discuss
You know, we
that?
can bring that back as an agenda item to talk about the elevation of Lemon Valley Drive. They're working on the front end of it. That's an RTC project and along with NDOT. But I'm happy to have those conversations. We can even have them offline if you'd prefer, and we can have that discussion, or we can bring back an agenda item and have RTC come out and talk about that, and our staff can come and talk about those plans and the timing of that and how that will all work into.
Because there are
terms-
some very important questions the folks have out there.
Okay.
And because you can't just elevate a part of a road.
No, you're right. You're exactly right. There has to be barriers put up in the north and the south. Happy to have that conversation.
Okay, thank you
Yep,
very much.
know
and
that very
I look
well.
forward to it.
Okay, yep,
Thank you.
as do I. Okay. Okay, so I hope we've answered all the questions on item 11. Madam Clerk, is there any public comment on item number 11?
Oh, sorry.
I have nobody signed in on any of the items.
Okay, I will close public comment on the consent agenda. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Okay, so I have a motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Herman. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Commissioner Jung. Okay, that takes us now to item 12. Commissioner Hill, do you have a block vote?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I have a block vote for items 12, 13, 14, and 15.
Okay, and
And
please,
that's in the form of a motion.
okay, very good. Please recall that item 16 was removed from the agenda. Mr. Manager, would you read those items, and then I have a question for staff.
Item 12 is a recommendation to authorize MWH Constructors and the KG Walters Construction, a joint venture, as the construction manager at risk, and approve guaranteed maximum price agreement 3B to construct bioreactors 3 and 4, walls, and the facility upgrades, which are part of the South Truckee Meadows Water Reclamation Facility 2020 expansion project in the amount of $9,641,068, and approve a separate project contingency owner allowance fund in the amount of $3,205,400. I'm sorry, $400. $3,205,400. Item 13 is a recommendation to award a bid and approve the agreement to the lowest responsible bidder for the Washoe County Sheriff's Office bunk replacement project at 911 Parr Boulevard, Reno, PWP-WA-2021-398. Staff recommends Simerson Construction LLC in the amount of $544,542, with a base bid of $317,213, plus a bid alternative of $227,329, and approve a separate project contingency fund in the amount of $27,165 for a total project budget not to exceed $571,707. Item 14 is a recommendation to approve the creation of 2 new unfunded overfill full-time Human Resources Caseworker 3 positions within the Child Protective Services Fund 228. Pay grade YNN to be utilized for training of caseworkers as reviewed and evaluated by the Job Evaluation Committee, and authorize Human Resources to make the necessary changes. Total fiscal impact of $255,254. Net fiscal impact, 0. General fund fiscal impact, 0. Item number 15 is a recommendation to approve and accept the sub-recipient agreement for management of shelter operations of the Nevada Cares campus between City of Reno and Washoe County, retroactive from September 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022, in the amount not to exceed $3,795,423. Funding is derived from the City of Reno's Community Development Block Grants of $1,364,012, no match, and $953,797, no match, and Emergency Solutions Grants, $377,614, no match, and $1.1 million, no match. And if approved, direct the Comptroller's Office to make the necessary budget amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Before I ask you for some clarification, Mr. Solero, Madam Clerk, is there any public comment on either 12, 13, 14, or 15?
I have nobody signed in.
Okay, I will close public comment, bring it back to the board. Mr. Solero, would you come up to the podium just real quickly? So, just for clarification, would you talk to us just briefly about what the South Truckee Meadows Water Reclamation Facility is? I know what it is. And is it, it's obviously our waste treatment plant in the South Truckee Meadows. Does it, one, have anything to do with stormwater or the like? And two, how is this project funded?
Sure. For the record, Dave Solero, Assistant County Manager. The South Truckee Meadows Water Reclamation Facility is our sewer treatment plant, which is in the South Truckee Meadows area. Sewers, a lot of unincorporated Washoe County as well as parts of the city of Reno. It is not a stormwater plant. It is simply sewer, and we do have a sewer utility that pays for that. So new construction as well as ratepayers are funding this expansion.
And we bonded for that.
That is correct.
All paid back for through ratepayers'
Yes,
fees. Okay. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Mr. Solero? Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Solero. I appreciate that clarification. So we have a motion for items 12 through 15. We asked for public comment. Did we have a second? Commissioner Herman, did you second that?
I thought I did. I'll second it again.
Okay, I'm not, Madam Clerk, is that, we had a second from Commissioner Herman?
That's correct.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure, and it's okay, so she's already identified that. So we have a motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Herman. Is there any other discussion on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Commissioner Jung. That takes us now to item 17, possible closed session. Can we move that till the end if it is necessary, Mr. Manager? Is that okay
Yes,
with you?
That's fine.
Okay, so we will move item 17 down past item 21. That takes us to item number 18. I will open the public hearing. Mr. Manager, would you introduce for us, would you read, or no, actually, it's the clerk.
Madam Clerk,
Forgive
yes.
me, Madam Clerk.
This is Bill number 1864, an ordinance amending the Washoe County Code at Chapter 110, Development Code, Article 406, by adding a new section which allows the Director of Planning and Building Division to approve a modification of standards, Director's modification, to reduce the front yard setback as otherwise required by the underlying regulatory zone by up to 10 feet when the edge of the pavement or curb of the adjacent public right-of-way, ROW, of a local residential street is more than 20 feet from the property line. The Director's modification must include a finding that the adjacent row, ROW, is not planned for a future road expansion and must consider roadway safety and snow storage. Additionally, the county engineer may request that Washoe County be released from any liability relating to street maintenance operations and other matters necessarily connected therewith and pertaining thereto.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And so we're going to introduce and conduct a first reading. Does this require, I'm sorry, was there a bill?
It is
I didn't hear
Bill
it.
number 1864.
Thank you so much. I apologize. For whatever reason, it slipped my, okay. We have Ms. Olander here. Staff, is there any questions for Ms. Olander? This is really just it's kind of a housekeeping measure. And this pertains to all commission districts. There's a bunch of them everywhere. This is kind of bringing a bunch of things into conformance as well. I do have a question for you, Ms. Olander. Will this bring some of the parcels that were just given modifications in the past? I know some of these exist in my own neighborhood where they're well inside the setbacks from 20 years ago. Will this bring them into conformance? Will they have to come in and do anything, or is this just only for a new permit?
I'm Julie Olander with Planning and Building. To answer your question, I think best would be that this is going forward. So anything in the past would have been already managed by a variance or whatever they chose to do. But at this point, going forward, they will have to apply for a director's modification permit.
Okay.
And that will be routed through the different departments to review to make sure that there aren't any issues.
Okay. Okay. So commissioners, Any questions for Ms. Olander?
No.
Okay. This is just an introduction. Madam Clerk, do we have public comment?
There's no public comment.
Okay, I will close public comment, bring it back to the board. I'm looking for an introduction and a possible action for a second reading.
I'm happy to do the introduction. I
Please.
move to introduce and conduct a first reading of Bill Number 1864, which is an ordinance amending the Washoe County Code at Chapter 110, Article 406, by adding a new section which allows the Director and Planning and Building Division to approve modification of standards to reduce front yard setbacks by up to 10 feet when the edge of the pavement or curve of the adjacent public right-of-way of a local residential street is more than 20 feet from the property line. The director's modification must include a finding that the adjacent right-of-way is not planned for a future road expansion and must consider roadway safety and snow storage. Additionally, the county engineer may request that Washoe County be released from any liability relating to street maintenance operations and other matters necessarily connected therewithin and pertaining to. And if supported, set the public hearing for a second reading and possible adoption of the ordinance for December 14, 2021.
Okay, so I have an introduction. Thank you so much, Commissioner Hill. Thank you, Ms. Olander. Okay, that takes us now to item number 19. Madam Clerk.
This is Bill Number 1865, an ordinance amending the Regional Road Impact Fee, RRIF, General Administrative Manual, GAM, and the RRIF Capital Improvement Plan, CIP, with revised fees. The RRIF is an NRS Chapter 278B impact fee designed to generate revenue for the construction of regional roads and associated improvements in the community that was first passed in 1996 and has since been periodically amended upon the adoption of the Regional Transportation Commission, RTC, of updated versions to the GAM, CIP, and fees. The amount of the fees is based on the most recent version of the CIP in effect and is calculated according to the formula set forth in the GAM. The current amendments to the GAM consist of the 7th edition RRIF GAM that has been approved by the RTC for recommendation to governing bodies of the county and cities, as well as associated updates to the CIP and fees. Revised fees range from a 0.7% decrease to a 6.19% increase.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I didn't hear the bill number. Is that 1865?
1865.
Thank you so much. Floor is yours.
Good afternoon, Chairman, County Commissioners. For the record, Dale Keller, Engineering Manager with the RTC. So today, I'm here to present the Regional Road Impact Fee 7th Edition update. So big picture, why we're here today and why we're doing this update. The RIF program needs to conform with our long-term 2050 Regional Transportation Plan. So the RIF program uses the RTC's regional or transportation planning efforts as reflected in the 2050 RTP to define a list of capital improvements necessitated by and attributed to a new development. So that's why we're here today, to get in conformance with our long-term plan. So before we jump into what those changes are, and just as a quick refresher for the commission, regional road impact fees are a funding tool to help collect the cost of new development's capacity demands on our regional roadways. So as an example, a new development comes online. In this case, Washoe County would collect those impact fees through the building permit process. Those funds then would be transferred to the RTC, where we'd use those funds to help build capacity on our regional roads. The program has its advantages and its limitations. Some of its advantages is development's way to pay its fair share. It's used as an equitable system throughout and supported by the community. There are limitations. The funds collected must and are strictly used on capacity. They cannot be used for operating costs, maintenance costs, or non-capacity related improvements. The program is governed by NRS 278B, which allows each government to enact local impact fee ordinances. To administer this program, each of the local agencies, so that's Washoe County, City of Reno, City of Sparks, as well as RTC, entered into a 4-party interlocal cooperative agreement to outline those roles and responsibilities. The program has 2 components. that was presented in the ordinance is the first one, the capital improvement plan, describes the methodology to establish the fee as well as what projects are included in our program. And the last bullet point here is the general administrative manual, which provides the guidelines and procedures to administer the program. So the update before you today is in accordance with those provisions of the interlocal cooperative agreement, where the RTC is responsible for doing these initiating periodic reviews of the RIF program. So once again, the review program was just initiated by the approval of that long-range 2050 regional transportation plan, which was adopted in March of this year. And lastly, so we've received input through the RIF Technical Advisory Committee since July of 2020. So for over a year, members of local agency staffs, members of the planning commissions, as well as representatives from the private development community help provide guidance and input in this update for now over a year. So to simplify how we go through this process, there are 3 simple steps. The first one starts with our no land use assumptions through the Team RPA, so the Truckee Meadows Regional Planning Agency, to assess what type and where growth is planned to occur. Step 2 jumps in green, where the RTC planning efforts come in to identify what the capacity improvements are needed. And in blue is where the RIF program determines new development's share of those cost of capacity improvements, and you get to the last box of those impact fee rates, as well as the fee schedule for individual development types. So to estimate the growth over the next 10 years, we use that consensus forecast from Team RPA development model, and we convert growth into our vehicles mile traveled, or VMTs. So this standard measurement creates that link between supply, which is our roadway capacity, as well as the demand, which is the traffic generated by new development. So step 2, where the RTC planning comes in, is that population employment are assigned to parcels or zones through the RTC's travel demand model. For our RIF program, we only use impacts to a regional road network. So you'll see on the left of the screen between red and yellow lines, so if there's a trip generated in the North Valleys of Reno and it goes to the southeast Reno, we only calculate what's shown orange. So we take away the local streets as well as the freeway system or highway system. This process is then aggregated and repeated over for every zone that there is and determine what our average trip length is for our service areas. Now that we have the growth through VMTs, the last part of the equation is calculate the cost. So once again, we use the first 10 years, what's included in our 2050 regional transportation plan, determine what those improvements are needed, as depicted on the screen. The impact fees must have a reasonable sized area in order to show a benefit for those improvements, so a rational nexus. So all fees collected in the service areas must be used in those same service areas. So our program has 2, there's a north and a south. That dividing line is the Interstate 80 corridor. So with all these inputs and informations, we get to determine what the developer's fair share is. It's roughly $132 million for the next 10 years. That is broken up or based on where the growth is occurring. You see the growth is occurring more in the north and the south. And at the bottom row, you see the dollars per VMT for RIF share for both service areas. And the last step of this is showing what the fees are for each of the individual land uses types. So this is a direct cut from what you see. It's going to be administered for our program. This first page shows the residential and industrial land uses. On the far right of the screen, you see the difference between the 7th edition and the current 6th edition. Overall, the fees are flat. You do see for single-family residents, those fees increase roughly 6% and 5% in the north and south respectively, and I'll touch upon that in one second. Here's a remainder of the development types for commercial and office and other land uses. Once again, the difference of those fees are roughly flat between the 6th and the 7th edition. To summarize these changes and what's changed, once again, we've updated our list of those capital improvement projects. We've shown there's more growth in the North Benefit District than the South. Regarding our single-family trip data and why is that 6%, 7%, or excuse me, 6 and 5% relative, that is a direct correlation to the U.S. Census Bureau's American Community Surveys 2019 data showing that we have a lot more vehicles in Washoe County, so it's very specific rate calculation that we use that input from the U.S. Census. So the next steps are taken to you today and moving forward for a second reading. This process is also repeated for the City of Reno and City of Sparks. We hope to have adoption here of January 2022. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions the commission may have.
Okay. I'm gonna kick this off. As you probably know, Mr. Keller, I disagree with RIF fees, the way that they're currently calculated. How can they be flat? The economy, I mean, it cost us more to build a road this year than it did last year. I know that directly equates to the cost of a house, and we're trying to make housing more affordable, but ultimately, taxpayers end up bearing that burden because it's just, in my opinion, it's low. But answer a question for me. The RIF fees, the regional road impact fees that are collected, those don't include the capacity improvements that could be conditions of approval by one of the 3 jurisdictions, correct?
So for your question, Commissioner Hartung, there's twofolds. If it's on our capital improvement plan and also development is conditioned to do those improvements, they could enter into an offset waiver agreement up to the value of what their impact fee would be.
Right, which is a CCFEA.
That's our previous, I'd say, historical.
Capital
legendary
contribution
process.
front-end agreement, we don't call them CCFEAs anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it'll always be a CCFEA to me. I'm sorry, it'll always be like 395 is not 580. It's still 395. Sorry. Don't mean to be pedantic. It's.
But you're correct, sir. We still have that process where
Right.
development can enter into an agreement for us to do those
Right.
improvements on our behalf.
Right, exactly. So I'm sorry, I'm just old school. We love to change the names of things, but it's, look, the soup tastes the same. And as you know, I've been vocal in the past. I don't think RIF fees cover near the cost that they need to. And again, I know that goes into the cost of new housing. Sadly, it's just the way it is. And I'm still a little concerned, but commissioners, any questions for Mr. Keller? Commissioner Jung, do you have any questions?
Oh, thank you. I agree with you on RIF and for some other reasons we don't need to get into right now either. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Herman, any questions for Mr. Keller?
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is an introduction and a first reading of the ordinance of number 1865.
I move to introduce the first reading of an ordinance amending the Regional Road Impact Fees General Administrative Manual and the Regional Road Impact Fee Capital Improvement Plan with revised fees. The RIF is an NRS Chapter 278B impact fee designed to generate revenue for the construction of regional roads and associated improvements in the community that was first passed in 1996 and has been periodically amended upon the adoption of the RTC of updated versions of the GAM, CIP, and fees. The amount of fees is based on the most recent version of the CIP. In effect, is calculated according to the formula set forth in the GAM. The current amendments to the GAM consist of the 7th edition RIF GAM that have been approved by RTC for recommendation to governing bodies of the county and cities, as well as associated updates for the CIP and fees. Revised fees range from a 0.70 decrease to a 6.19 increase and other matters necessarily connected therewithin pertaining thereto, and set a public hearing for possible adoption of the ordinance December 14, 2021.
Okay, Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment on this item?
I have nobody signed in.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Thank you, Mr. Keller. Mr. Manager, that takes us to, we'll close the public hearing, and that takes us to item number 20.
Item number 20 is public comment. Comment heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the commission agenda. Commission will also hear public comment during individual action items with comment limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments are to be made to the commission as a whole.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, would you call public comment, please?
Derek Sonderfan.
Sonderfeld, welcome.
Good afternoon. This is my last Board of County Commissioner meeting as an employee of Washoe County. But as I am still an employee, I want to just say my opinions are mine alone. They do not reflect my department or anyone in it. I wanted to take this last chance to thank you all, thank all the decision makers, the board, the chair, county manager, I see Assistant County Manager Solaro, for treating this pandemic with the gravity it deserves. I don't think you guys hear that enough. I think you hear a lot of people say, but you have to trust the real science. But when they say that, they will invariably cite one of two things. They'll talk about the Stanford study or America's Frontline Doctors. So earlier today, I emailed you guys some links, some sources about these two because they're dangerous. And I'm glad largely, so for instance, the Stanford study had nothing to do with Stanford. It was not a peer-reviewed study, and it didn't really even dispute the efficacy of masks with evidence. And America's Frontline Doctors is fronted by a woman who has gone on record as saying that alien DNA is being used in medical treatments and that scientists are devising a vaccine to prevent people from becoming religious. So please don't ever give credence to what they're saying about anything, and I appreciate that largely you don't do that. Over the few years, I've had to listen to people say, my body, my choice, which I wholeheartedly agree with. Bodily autonomy is extremely important, but it's being usurped from another movement, and it's a disingenuous comparison because if a woman decides to take a choice with her body and have an abortion, it does not cause the women around her to miscarry. When a person who does not get vaccinated, who may be a silent carrier, makes that choice, there's a very real possibility that they will transmit a disease that, kills people. It's not a fair comparison. And likewise, I've heard mask and vaccine mandates compared to the Holocaust and to slavery and to the segregation of the 50s and 60s. And those are also the reprehensible comparisons, but they're also disingenuous. Those people were segregated against because of things they could not change: their ethnicity, the color of their skin. People who choose not to get a vaccine, and sure, it is their choice, most of them have that choice to get that vaccine and are choosing not to. So to compare the two is completely disingenuous. Listen, we're still in a pandemic. We are still in a state of emergency. I know people want it to be canceled because it's an inconvenience to wear a small piece of fabric a couple times a day. But I personally, I literally know 2 people who died this month of COVID and 2 more who are battling and not doing so well at it. So I want to thank you and your staff for doing the proper research and listening to the majority of scientists. I want to thank you for acknowledging science is not it's not a belief system. It's a process by which you gather and utilize information. And I want to thank you that you all realize that the loudest voices aren't always the majority. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, anyone else?
I have an email to be placed on the record from Chiara Masalayo,
Okay,
and that's it.
okay. I will close public comment and bring it back to the board. Mr. Manager, that takes us now to item 21.
Item 21 is Commissioners and County Managers' announcements, reports, and updates to include boards and commissions updates, requests for information, or topics for future agendas.
Okay, Mr. Manager, do you have any such items?
No, Mr. Chair, other than there is no need for closed sessions.
Thank you. Thank you for that update. I also got that. Commissioners, anything? Commissioner Herman, Commissioner Hill? Okay. Commissioner Jung, do you have anything?
No, thank you very much. Great meeting, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
Thank you so much, Commissioners. I have nothing either. That takes us to adjournment. We are adjourned. Thank you so much.